So you've got a grid like this. You need to understand how to represent different points on this grid. So you've got this y-axis, right? The vertical axis is known as the y-axis, the horizontal axis. You first need to understand how to represent different points on this coordinate system, on this Cartesian plane. So if you have this point here, for instance, this point here, what does that mean? This is 6 on the x coordinate and 2 on the y coordinate, right? So this is how you write this. X coordinate pehle likhte hain, y coordinate baad mein likhte hain. That's how you represent the coordinates of a point. Achha, ab iske baad we need to understand a few things about these points. Inke hum do points ke darmiyan mein, how can you find the distance between 2 points? How can you find the gradient of a point, of the line joining 2 points? How can we find, the equation of the line joining 2 points and things like that? So, right. So that's what we are going to discuss next. So we'll quickly review these concepts and then we'll do some practice questions on this. Okay. So let's say you've got this point here. That's point 6 and 2. Okay. And you've got another point here that is, somewhere here, or let's say somewhere here. What are going to be the coordinates for this? Remember x pehle likhte hain, and then we have the y coordinate. So that's -2 and 4. That's the other point. So let's say we've got these 2 points. इसको हम b नाम दे देते हैं और इस point को हम नाम दे देते हैं कि this is point A. All right. Now the first thing we should know is how to calculate the distance between 2 points. Okay. So let's say we've got a line here that joins these 2 points, the line AB. What we want to do is we want to find the distance between those 2 points. How do we do that? Now remember, we've got a formula for this. AB ke liye, distance AB find karne ke liye, what we do is we've got this formula that says x2 minus x1 ka whole square plus y2 minus y1 ka whole square. So in order to find the distance between any 2 points, what you do is you use this formula. X2 minus x1 whole square plus y2 minus y1 whole square. Now, some of you may have done the other way around. That's also perfectly okay. इसमें कोई मसला नहीं है. अगर आपने x1 minus x2 किया हुआ है, that's perfectly okay as well, because उसने square हो जाना होता है ना, square होके it becomes the same thing. It doesn't make any difference. So this is the formula that we use for finding the distance between 2 points. ये वैसे Pythagoras से आता है. Let's just apply this here. So for example, ये point A जो था, इसमें ये हम इसको कह देते हैं, this is our x1. What that's 6 there, ठीक है? और ये जो 2 point है इसको हम कह देते हैं, that is y1. That's the y coordinate of the first point. X coordinate of the second point, that's -2, and the y coordinate of the second point, that is 4. Okay. Now, how do we calculate this distance here? How do you calculate this distance? हम यहाँ पे values input करेंगे सिर्फ x2 की जगह. x2 की जगह हम क्या करते हैं? We input -2 minus x1. x1 कहाँ पर है? This is x1, that is 6. So we say this is 6 a whole square plus y2. What is y2? y2 is this 4 here. 4 minus y1, that is 2. इसको square करते हैं. Okay. Now, if you evaluate this, that is going to give you the distance. Now, you have to be very careful about the signs there. Okay, यहाँ पे -2 था, x2. This is -2 here. 6 was positive, और यहाँ पे -6 आया. अगर ये दूसरा वाला x1 भी negative होता, तो you have to be careful कि ये हो जाता इस तरह से. माइनस बाहर होता, अंदर में negative आता, so let's say -6 होता, और वो +6 बन जाता. ये पूरी चीज इस जगह पे +6 बन सकती थी अगर ये x1 नेगेटिव होता. So you have to be very careful about the signs there. ठीक है? अच्छा, so what do we do here? We just evaluate this. We have -8 का whole square plus 2 का square. ठीक है? Now we just evaluate this. -8 का square क्या होता है? Again, remember, you have to make sure this negative sign is inside the brackets. Negative sign is inside the brackets. उसके जब स्क्वायर करते हैं तो वो प्लस हो जाएगा. अगर आप जल्दी से माइनस को बाहर लग दोगे तो वो आप स्क्वायर करने से वो पॉजिटिव नहीं होता. So you have to be careful about this. This becomes 64 plus 4 and that gives you square root of 68. या आप देख सकते हैं आपके पास क्या आता है. If I do it quickly on my end, that is 8.25, right? So that's 8.25. So depending on which paper you are asked to do this in, अगर आप के पास paper 2 में है ये, तो you evaluate using your calculator. Otherwise, you could just simplify this. आप इसको square root of 68 ऐसे भी छोड़ सकते हो. आप ये भी कर सकते हो कि इसको आप लिख लो कि इसको आप break down कर लो कि this is like 4 into 17, right? 4 into 17. फिर ये 4 जो है इसको हम लिख सकते हैं इस तरह से. 4 is the same thing as 2 square, 2 का square into 17. और फिर वो जो 2 है वो स्क्वायर रूट के बाहर जा सकते हैं. तो अगर आपको पेपर 1 में करना होता, आप ये अंदर वाली में से किसी इसको फैक्टराइजेशन करके इसको प्रोडक्ट में कन्वर्ट करके अगर स्क्वायर होता तो स्क्वायर को बाहर इस तरह से लिख सकते थे. परफेक्ट स्क्वायर फॉर एग्जांपल 4 इज अ परफेक्ट स्क्वायर. 4 को हम बाहर लेके जाके 2 कर सकते हैं एंड बिकम्स 2 स्क्वायर रूट ऑफ 17. तो ओकेजनली काफी रेयर होता है, कभी कभी आपको इस तरह की फॉर्म में भी करने को कहते हैं. तो यहाँ उसका क्या करना होता है कि अंदर जो स्क्वायर रूट में आ रहा होता है उसका इस तरह से प्रोडक्ट में किसी में लिखें कि कोई आपके पास परफेक्ट स्क्वायर आ जाए. तो यहाँ पे 4 परफेक्ट स्क्वायर है, 4 को हम 2 स्क्वायर लिख सकते हैं और 2 को फिर बाहर लेके जाके इस तरह से लिख सकते हैं. तो if this was a paper 1 question, this is how you would give your answer. Depending on what exactly is being asked, you could do it like this or you could do it like this. Okay, so that's how you calculate distance between 2 points. ये हमें distance formula एक बताना चाहिए. ठीक है, अच्छा. Aisha, these are free classes. So this class that you're in right now, this group is free. So every Monday we will have classes in this group in which we will be covering important topics. The other group in which we're going to be doing past papers, that group is paid. Okay, so this group is going to be free in which we discuss specific topics. We're going to try and discuss most of the important topics. But the other group in which we're going to discuss recent past papers, that is paid. Acha. Now let's look at another thing. So let me just erase all of this. And let's say now you've got those same two set of points. And you want to do another thing. You want to find the midpoint of those 2 points. In the midpoint find it. Right? So you've got one point here, A, B, and the other point is A. Midpoint के लिए क्या करते हो? You've got this formula for that. For midpoint, you add the x coordinates, and add the y coordinates, both of them. और उनको क्या करते हैं? उनको हम add करते हैं और उनको 2 से divide कर देते हैं. So it's x1 plus x2 over 2 and y1 plus y2 divided by 2. ओके, अब इसमें सिर्फ वैल्यूज इनपुट करनी है उसी तरह से x1 y1 और x2 y2. So x1 क्या होएगा? So again you can, it doesn't really matter आप किसको x1 suppose करते हो, किसको x2 suppose करते हो. That is not relevant. You can say this is x1, this is y1, so that's x2 and this is y2. It does not really matter. आप उसको उल्टा भी कर सकते हो, उससे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. What do we get here? So x1 की वैल्यू हमने यहाँ पे क्या लिखी? That's -2. Plus x2, that is 6 divided by 2, and y1, that is 4 plus y2, that is 2 divided by 2, and that gives us 2 and 3. That is the midpoint. The midpoint figure out करने के लिए क्या करते हैं? We use this thing that's called the midpoint formula, x1 plus x2 over 2 and y1 plus y2 divided by 2. So इस तरह से midpoint find करते हैं. So whatever point is in the middle here, so that's actually going to be this point here. ये जो आपको ये point नजर आ रहा है, ये आप देखें graphically भी आपको नजर आ रहा है. इसके coordinates क्या बनने चाहिए? It's 2 on the x-axis and 3 on the y-axis, right? So आप calculations इसको इस तरह से figure out कर सकते हो. Okay. Menahil, this group in which we have free classes, it's going to be every Monday around 4:15 जो है हम start करेंगे, 4:15 to 5:15. Today this was the first session, so I started a bit late at 4:30. So today it's going to be 4:30 to 5:30, but generally this class is going to run from around 4:15 to 5:15. Every Monday around 4:15, this group. The other group in which we can do past papers, for that group, let me quickly confirm. Okay. Should have it somewhere here. The other group is going to have, yeah. So the other group is going to have Tuesday, Thursday, 4 to 4:45. Tuesday and Thursday, 4 to 4:45. ये आपको यहाँ पे मैं लिख के देता हूँ. So these are confirmed timings. Tuesday and Thursday, 4 to 4:45. And potentially Wednesday, Friday, 7:45 to 8:30. So this is what timing the other group is going to be. Tuesday and Thursday are final, but Wednesday and Friday is tentative right now. This will be confirmed in a day or two as well. That other group is starting next week, inshallah. This group is named O-level maths, IGCSE O-level maths, important topics and practice questions. Important topics and practice questions. अब जाके दोबारा अपने group पे देखोगे, you will have that there. You will see the name there as well. When you go to the home page, अपने groups के अंदर देखें, you should be able to see that name. Okay, good. All right. So this is how we find the midpoint. Okay. What else do we need to know here? Gradient of a line joining 2 points. So gradient क्या होता है? Gradient basically tells you the direction of a line. Okay, gradient आपको क्या बताता है? It tells you the direction of a line. So gradient, it basically tells you something about the direction of a line. Direction of a line के लिए ना एक numerical value होती है, which we'll see how that is calculated. एक line की आपको direction बता रहा होता है, और इसका एक और word भी हम use करते हैं, that's called slope. So there's another word that we use for this, that is called slope, and that's pretty self-explanatory. Slope का क्या मतलब है कि आप देखिए, आप you use this word very often in in real life as well, कि आपकी कितनी slope है यहाँ पे, कितना inclined है surface, right? For example, this is a line that you have here. ये line आपको नजर आ रही है, ये कितनी inclined है, right? So that's pretty much what gradient represents as well. इसके लिए formula use करते हैं, it's called y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And you might have heard of this thing, it's called rise over run. What that basically means is कि आपका y axis के ऊपर कितना change हो रहा है? This change here on the y axis, right? This is your change in y. That corresponding to कि आपके पास x axis के ऊपर कितना change हो रहा है, right? So it's a ratio of this change basically. y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. ठीक है? आपको बताता है rise over run, the change in y coordinates divided by the change in x coordinates, right? So that's what your gradient represents. So now, if you were to apply this to this particular set of points, that's AB. So AB का gradient क्या होएगा यहाँ पे? Gradient of these 2 points A and B. Now we do exactly the same thing as before. आप किसी भी point को अब x1 y1 assume कर लो, किसी भी point को x2 y2 assume कर लो, right? So for instance, your first point को हम कहते हैं this is our x1. Change the color. This is x1. This is y1. Then this is going to be x2, and this is going to be y2. Okay, now we just need to input values there. आपके पास क्या आएगा? y2 is 2 there, so we have 2 in place of y2. y1 is 4, that's 4 there, divided by x2, that is 6, minus x1. Now you've got to be a bit careful. x1 देखें negative है यहाँ पे, right? This is minus 2. So that means it's 6 minus 2, right? So what does that represent? What does that become? It becomes minus 2 divided by 8, which is minus 1 over 4. Minus 1 over 4. That is the gradient of this line. Minus 1 over 4. Now it's coming out to be a negative number, right? So why is it negative? Why is it negative? Now, the way to understand that is, as you are going from left to right, आप left to right जा रहे हो ना, your y coordinate is decreasing. आप left to right जा रहे हो तो y coordinate नीचे को जा रहा है. y कोऑर्डिनेट लेफ्ट से राइट जाते हुए नीचे को जा रहा है, इसका मतलब इसकी वजह से आपका ग्रेडियंट जो है ना वो नेगेटिव आता है, राइट? इसकी वजह से आपका ग्रेडियंट नेगेटिव आता है. Yes, the y coordinate, the y value is falling. Exactly. So y coordinates is decreasing as you go from left to right. Gradient is not falling. Gradient is constant. It's a straight line. Straight line का gradient हमेशा constant होता है. Gradient fall नहीं करेगा. जो y value है, जो y axis के ऊपर value, for example, this was -2 earlier, sorry 4 earlier, 4 पे की value इस point के ऊपर, as it gets here, value decrease होकर कितनी हो जाती है? It becomes 3 at this point, फिर कम होके और it becomes 2 at this last point. So the value of y is decreasing. As you go from left to right, the value of y is decreasing. Because of that, the gradient turns out to be negative. Okay? Achha. Ab is pe na, there are different cases that you need to know of. So let's actually discuss those cases. So there can be 4 possible directions of lines. There can be 4 possible directions of lines. You can have a line like this. You can have a line like this, right? You can have a line like this, horizontal, and you can also have a line that looks like this, a vertical line. ये 4 possibilities आपके पास हो सकती हैं lines की, okay? अच्छा. What about the first line? अब ये first line में देखें, left से right जाते हुए क्या होता है? Left से right जाते हुए आपका y coordinate increase कर रहा है. आपका y coordinate increase कर रहा है. यहाँ पे जो आपका gradient होता है ना, that is going to be positive. So let me talking about gradient here. Gradient of these lines. जो first line है ना, इसका gradient होगा positive. उनके left से right जाते हुए आप ऊपर की तरफ जा रहे हो, gradient positive होता है. ये जो second type of line है ना, where the line is going down as you move from left to right, आपकी line नीचे की तरफ जा रही है, इसका जो gradient होता है, that is negative. ठीक है, ये 2 major ज्यादा common types of lines है जिनका आपको gradient की values पता होनी चाहिए. Yes, Manahil, that's going to be negative here. Very good. What about this third line? What about this third line? इसका क्या होगा? So let's think about a couple of points there. So आपके पास let's say एक point ही होता, इसके coordinates होते 2 and 3. Stationary, yes, you can say that. What about the gradient? Constant gradient to सब पे है, right? Positive gradient. So let's say this is +3. Now 3 is a constant, तो constant gradient तो वहाँ पे भी है. Yes, Rafe. Yes, you're right. Very good. So basically, let's take any 2 points on the line. So let's say एक point आपके पास ये 2, 3 है. अब दूसरा point मैं right side पे लेता हूँ. Let's say इसका x coordinate जो है वो 5 हो जाए यहाँ पे. What about the y coordinate? अगर ये horizontal line है तो y coordinate तो change नहीं हो सकता, right? अगर ये horizontal line है तो जो y coordinate पहले था वही y coordinate यहाँ पे होएगा. तो ये 2 points इस तरह के आ जाएंगे. जब इसका gradient find करोगे ना आप, gradient formula लगाओगे, y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1, तो क्या होगा उसमें? So let's say this is x1, this is y1, this is x2, this is y2. अगर आप इस पे gradient formula apply करते हो, उस पे होगा क्या? Numerator में you'll get a 0. 3 minus 3, right? अब denominator में जो मर्जी हो, it doesn't make any difference, right? आपकी value 0 ही आ जाएगी. So horizontal line का gradient हमेशा क्या होता है? It's always 0. So every horizontal line has a gradient of 0. ठीक है, तो ये सबसे पहली वाली लाइन जो लेफ्ट पे थी उसका ग्रेडियंट पॉजिटिव होएगा, सेकंड लाइन का ग्रेडियंट नेगेटिव होगा. ये जो थर्ड लाइन मैंने ड्रॉ किया वहां पे, दैट्स अ हॉरिजॉन्टल लाइन, इसका ग्रेडियंट होता है 0. ओके, ऑलराइट. व्हाट अबाउट द फोर्थ लाइन देयर? व्हाट अबाउट द फोर्थ लाइन देयर? एनी आइडियाज अबाउट दैट? द फोर्थ लाइन, व्हाट इज द ग्रेडियंट ऑफ दैट फोर्थ लाइन? Infinite. Okay, so that's a good answer. But that's not mathematically accurate. वैसे हम कह सकते हैं infinite. There's another word that we use for that. So basically, ठीक है, infinite आप इस level पे कह सकते हो उसको. अगर कुछ 2 points हैं यहाँ पे, let's say this point is 2 and 3. Got another point here. इसका x coordinate same होएगा, y coordinate different होगा. Let's say this is 2 and 1. इसका अगर ग्रेडियंट फाइंड करते हो उसी तरह से y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. यहाँ पे प्रॉब्लम क्या होता है? When you do this, you get 3 minus 1 divided by 2 minus 2. आपके पास डिनोमिनेटर में 0 आ जाता, डिनोमिनेटर में 0 आ जाता. And what is this value, by the way? What is this value? Does anyone know what 2 over 0 is? What is 2 over 0? 2, Rafi? Okay. 2 or 0? Choose one. Is it 2 or 0? Okay, Rafi is saying 0 now. Shanze is saying it's also 0. Okay. Any other guesses? Is it 2? Is it 0? Is it something else? So Saima said the gradient is going to be infinite. तो ये हम gradient find कर रहे हैं यहाँ पे, तो ये क्या होना चाहिए? Manil is saying 0. Okay, Irfan is saying 0. All right. I still don't have the correct answer, by the way. It's not 2, it's not 0. It's none of them. It's none of them. Any ideas? This is a very important thing to remember. अगर आपको ये concept clear नहीं है ना, आपको आगे तंग करेगा. देखें, आप किस चीज को divide करते हो? So let's say 10 divided by 2. What is this number? 10 over 2. What do you get here? You get 5 here, right? अब इसका मतलब क्या होता है? इसका मतलब क्या होता है? 2 को आप 5 से मल्टीप्लाई करोगे, आपको 10 मिलेगा. 10 over 2 5 क्यों मिल रहा है आपको? Because आप 2 को 5 से मल्टीप्लाई करोगे, आपको 10 मिलेगा. Now what about 2 over 0? ये क्या हो सकता है? You are saying 2. अच्छा 2 होगा, 0 into 2 क्या होता है? 0 into 2 तो 0 होता है, आपको 2 तो नहीं मिलेगा. अच्छा, both of you are saying 0. 0 into 0 वो भी 0 होता है, 2 तो नहीं मिलेगा. तो 0 को किस नंबर से मल्टीप्लाई करेंगे आपके पास 2 आ जाए? So which number can you multiply 0 by so that you get 2 there? Yes, Rafi, you're getting there. So which number do I multiply 0 by to get 2? Does anyone have an answer to this? 0 को किससे multiply करें 2 मिल जाए हमें? There's no such number, right? There's no such number जिसको हम 0 से multiply करें हमें 2 result मिल जाए, right? There's no such number. So that is why this thing is undefined. Yes, Rida, that's correct. There's no such number जिसको हम 0 से multiply करें तो हमें 2 मिल जाए. कोई भी odd number मिल जाए 0 के अलावा. That is why anything over 0, anything divided by 0, it's basically undefined, right? There's no result to this. If you do this on your calculator, calculator will say math error, right? कि आपकी math जो है ना, उसमें error आ गया, it's not working. You cannot do this, right? आप 0 से divide नहीं कर सकते. So that is why, if we go back here, और हम देखें जो vertical lines होती है ना हमारे पास इस तरह की, इनका कोई gradient नहीं होता. We cannot define this. It's called undefined, right? But at this level के ऊपर, it's going to be okay if you say it's infinite as well. That's okay as well. इसमें कोई मसला नहीं है. But this is more accurate. Undefined. This gradient is basically undefined. ये 4 types of lines होती हैं हमारे पास. Positive gradient, negative gradient, horizontal जिसका gradient 0 होता है, और vertical line जिसका gradient undefined होता है. Okay, so that was the next thing that you need to know of. How to find the gradient of a line. किस तरह की line से gradient positive होता है, किस तरह की line से gradient negative होता है, कब 0 होता है, और कब आपके पास gradient जो है वो undefined होता है. Right? Now, let's talk about the next thing, and that is finding the equation of a line. Walaikum assalam, Bahaj. I hope you're doing well. So the next thing we are going to do is, very good, Reda. So the next thing is equation of a line. How do we find the equation of a line? Okay, so Walaikum assalam, Adam. I hope you're well as well. So the next thing we need to discuss in coordinate geometry is how to find the equations of lines. Okay. अच्छा, अब इसमें 2-3 different चीजें हैं. Yeah, so that's the general form that you know of, right? Y equals mx plus c, y equals mx plus c. This is the general form of the equation of a line, right? So that's what you already know of. ठीक है? अब इसमें क्या ये m और c क्या represent कर रहे होते हैं? That is what we need to understand first. ठीक है? अच्छा, y equals mx plus c. This is the general form of the equation of a line. This is what we know from coordinate geometry. Now remember, this is a review class, so I'm not going to go into the details of how the logical, process of where do we get this from. So we do that in our detailed classes to try to understand, how to why everything is the way it is. But यहाँ पे we just want to do a quick review of what the different concepts that we have. तो यहाँ पे y equals mx plus c में क्या होता है exactly, Manahil, Rafi, that's correct. M represents the gradient. M represents the gradient, and the C represents a y-intercept. C represents y-intercept. Adan, nahi beta, this is O-level maths. We are starting AS classes next week, inshallah. Okay, AS classes next week start ho rahi hain. This is O-level maths. Okay, so M is the gradient and C is the y-intercept in this. Okay, actually gradient to y-intercept kya hote hain? So let me just quickly draw a rough figure here. Quickly draw a rough figure here. So this is my x coordinate. This is my y coordinate. Y-axis and the x-axis. Let's say I've got 2 points here. ठीक है, मेरे पास एक point है यहाँ पे that is let's say got 1 point here. इसके coordinates कुछ हैं. This is 4 here. Or let's say this is 3 here. This is 4 here. We got 1 point here, 3 and 4, and I have a line that passes through this point. Or let's say I've got a line that passes through this point. And it also passes the y-axis at some point. ठीक है, तो इस तरह से वहां से पास करती है, and it crosses the y-axis like this. अच्छा, अब इसका जो है ये जो point है, let's say इसको हम कह देते हैं, this is if this is 0 and that is 4, this is going to be somewhere around 1.5, let's say. So yeah, let's say 1.5. Okay. So this is a 1.5. Achha. Y-intercept kya hota hai? Exactly, Rafi. It's the point where a line crosses the y-axis. It's the point where a line crosses the y-axis. Y-axis to kahan pe cross kari hai? 1.5 ke upar. So iska y-intercept jo hoga is के अंदर, that is 1.5. अब इस point के ऊपर आपको पता है हमेशा क्या होता है? This is y coordinate. This is, or you can say the value of y. It says the value of y when x is equal to 0. Right? Y-axis के ऊपर क्या होता है? X की value 0 होती है ना? X की value 0 है तो y की value is 1.5. अच्छा, आपके पास इस तरह का कुछ अगर है, एक लाइन है, इसकी इक्वेशन हम किस तरह फाइंड करेंगे? इसकी इक्वेशन हम किस तरह फाइंड करेंगे? हमें दो चीजें चाहिए. ये ग्रेडियंट तो हमें हमेशा चाहिए होता है, ठीक है? एक तो हमें ग्रेडियंट चाहिए यहाँ से, ठीक है? Now how do we find that gradient? ग्रेडियंट का फॉर्मूला हमारे पास है, we know. अच्छा, m को हमने ग्रेडियंट से रिप्रेजेंट किया ना, so m क्या आएगा? m is going to be equal to y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. अच्छा, क्या हमारे पास दो पॉइंट्स हैं? हमारे पास सिर्फ एक पॉइंट है, 3 and 4. What is the other point? What is the other point? The other point is 0 and 1.5. Exactly. So ये जो 1.5 है यहाँ पे, ये जो हमारे पास 1.5 है यहाँ पे, इसको हम लिख सकते हैं. This is a point which has coordinates. इसका x coordinate 0 है ना यहाँ पे, so इसका x coordinate यहाँ पे 0 है और y coordinate is 1.5. Okay, this is the other point. Now you can use this to find the gradient. All right, so we just input values. हम किसी को भी एक को x1 y1 कर लेते हैं, किसी को भी हम x2 y2 कर लेते हैं. So let's say this is x1 y1, this is x2 y2. Okay, so we input values. y2 is 4, y1 is 1.5, x2 is 3, and x1 is 0. Okay, यहाँ से हमारे पास आएगा 2.5 over 3, or that's the same thing as saying 5 over 6. That is the gradient that we have. जब gradient आ गया, तब equation कैसे लिखेंगे? Remember, it's y equals mx plus c, right? m की जगह आपने gradient डाल देना है. Let me just write that here. Y equals mx plus c. m की जगह gradient डाल देंगे. So that's 5 over 6 into x plus C, that is 1.5, उसको 1.5 भी लिख सकते हो, or if you want, you can also write that as 3/2. So both are fine. Okay, so that is the equation of this line using y equals mx plus c. Okay, yes, that's correct, Rafi. Very good. Ali is saying, can this be taken out by putting the coordinates on x and y and phi? Yes, exactly. Ali, you can exactly do this as well. अगर आपके पास एक दफा ग्रेडियंट आ गया, एक दफा आपके पास ग्रेडियंट आ गया, अगर आपको y इंटरसेप्ट नहीं पता, तो that is the way you find that y intercept. But यहाँ पे क्या है? You already know the y intercept. You know that, you know, this is 1.5. आपको ग्राफ पे already नजर आ रहा है कि y intercept 1.5. So it's like y intercept is already given. You don't have to find that in this particular scenario, right? But there are going to be cases, of course, जहाँ पे आपको वो खुद से figure out करना पड़ेगा. So let's talk about those cases. और यहाँ पे क्या था? हमें एक point दिया हुआ था और एक y intercept दिया हुआ था. So basically we had one point. The point was 3 and 4. The point was 3 and 4. This point was given, and we were given the y intercept. Y intercept हमें पता था. Y intercept was given to be 1.5. ये दो चीजें हमें पता थी यहाँ पे उसने बताई. ठीक है, इन दोनों को यूज करके we found the equation of the line. अच्छा. Now there could be other scenarios as well. हमारे पास ये जनरल फॉर्म जो है ना y equals mx plus c, एक तो आपको ये पता होना चाहिए, this is going to work in every single case. आपके पास एक और भी फॉर्म होती है, आप लोगों ने से कुछ नहीं की होगी, कुछ ने शायद नहीं की होगी, but that's optional. If you want to do that, of course, that's going to help you working sometimes. एक दो steps आपके बच जाते हैं, जल्दी हो जाता है, but this thing is going to work for you in every single case. ये हमेशा चल जाएगी, whatever you're being asked about. दूसरी फॉर्म में यहाँ पे लिख देता हूँ. I'll show you how to use that in a moment as well. Y minus y1 equals m into x minus x1. So this is called gradient point form. कि आपको gradient पता हो और एक point पता हो, आप इसको directly use कर सकते हैं. You don't have to think about, you don't have to worry about the y intercept there. So for instance, let's consider this scenario. So let's say you got a point. So I'm going to write in the middle here. आपके पास एक point है, that is 2 and 3. एक point आपको given है, ठीक है? Let's call that point A. अच्छा. So let's say there's a line, इसको हम कह देते हैं L, that passes through the point A and has gradient. इसका जो gradient है, that is let's say -4. -4 is the gradient. ठीक है? Now what we need to find is, we need to find कि इसकी equation of line क्या है. Equation of this line ये हमें figure out करनी है. ठीक है? Now there are two possibilities. आपके पास y equals mx plus c form है, अगर आपने ये पढ़ा होगा सिर्फ, that's perfectly okay. कोई मसला नहीं है. क्या करोगे? Let's say the gradient is -4. Let's put that -4 inside this first. So y equals -4 times x plus c. Gradient की जगह तो हमने लिख दिया सीधा -4 because we knew that already. Now, how do you find the value of c? That is where that suggestion that Ali had comes into play. हम किस तरह से c की value figure out करेंगे? Y intercept कैसे find करेंगे? We already have a point that the line passes through. 2 and 3 point, right? ये point, इस point से line pass करती है. What does that mean? That means इस line को, उस point को satisfy करना चाहिए कि 2 और 3 इसके अंदर input करेंगे, आपकी इक्वेशन बैलेंस होगी. हम क्या करेंगे? हम उस पॉइंट को इसके अंदर इनपुट कर देंगे, 2 और 3 को. क्या मतलब कि x की जगह 2 डाल देंगे, y की जगह 3 डाल देंगे, राइट? सो वी से दिस इज 3 इक्वल टू -4 into 2 plus c, and that gives you c equal to 11. Exactly. So c turns out to be equal to 11. Yes, that's correct. Hisham, Rafi, Manahil, that's correct. So what do we get from this? हमारे पास equation of line आ गई यहाँ पे, and that equation is y equal to -4x plus 11. That is the equation of this line. That is the equation of this line. Okay, -4x plus 11. Differentiation for IGCSE 0580. Vahaj, that will be after at least 4 to 5 weeks, not in June. अभी in June में हम कुछ काफी सारे वो common topics cover कर रहे हैं जो दोनों IGCSE और O levels में आते हैं. We're going to focus more on these right now. And then transformation. Yes, transformation हम करेंगे in June. June में inshallah in one of our Monday classes we will be discussing transformation. That'll have to be a longer class because that's going to take time. Transformation पे हम इसी June में inshallah किसी point पे करेंगे. अच्छा, so that's the equation of line, right? Y equals minus 4x plus 11. Okay. Yes. So I told you the list of topics that we're going to cover in these sessions. We're going to be doing trigonometry, mensuration, transformation, and kinematics, statistics के कुछ concepts, वो जो grouped mean वगैरह find करना होता है, cumulative frequency curve, histograms वगैरह, and what else? Vectors, and yeah, that's pretty much it. ठीक है, ये 6-7 topics हम cover करेंगे in the next 2 months, the next couple of months. Okay, in the next couple of months. It's not going to be this week. So Rafi, we actually have classes every Monday until the exams. It's going to be only Monday, in which we're going to be discussing specific topics. For other 4 days, we have 4 classes more in a week. And the other 4 days we're going to be doing past papers. वो हम past papers कर रहे होंगे in another group. वो दूसरे group के अंदर past papers कर रहे होंगे. But this group is free, but the other is paid, right? So it's your choice. So this is the equation. Probability we'll have to see. That's a very small thing. It's not going to take too much time. वो हम देखेंगे. We might also have a session for that at the end. The statistics करेंगे ना, statistics के साथ ही we will try that we do that as well, because these are the topics that have higher weightage in the exams, and they're considered relatively more difficult as well. So we are going to try and do all of these at least inshallah before the exams every Monday around about the same time. Okay, all right, so let's think about this other thing. Yes, Adam, that's correct. It's not required in O levels. It's not required in O levels. But some people do this anyway because it's not really difficult as such, and it reduces some steps in your working. So if you know this, it helps. If you don't, it's all right. It doesn't really matter. Okay, so what do we do here? अभी दूसरे formulas भी आप कर सकते हो इसको. y minus y1 equals m into x minus x1 से. Those of you who know about this, इसमें हम क्या करते हैं? अगर आपके पास एक ग्रेडियंट हो, एक पॉइंट भी आपके पास गिवन हो, तो आप क्या कर सकते हैं? आप इस इक्वेशन के अंदर डायरेक्टली इनपुट करते हो, आपके पास इक्वेशन आ जाती है. आपको c फाइंड नहीं करना पड़ता. How does that work? ये जो y1 और x1 है ना, ये आपका x1 होता है. जो भी आपको पॉइंट गिवन है, आप उसमें से एक x कोऑर्डिनेट x1 लिख दो, तो y कोऑर्डिनेट को y1 लिख दो, and this is your m, right? And you just input values in that. Y minus y1, that is 3, equal to minus 4 into x minus x1, that is 2. And that is our equation. So simplify kar le, you get y minus 3 equals minus 4x plus 8. And you take this minus 3 to the other side, and that gives you minus 4x plus 11. Now, the benefit of this is that you save a couple of steps of working. आपको C explicitly find नहीं करना पड़ता पहले, आपको directly आ जाता है. So if you can remember this, that's good. If not, it's not really necessary. Okay, it's not really necessary if you don't remember this. Okay, all right. So इस तरह से आप equation find करते हो. Now there's one other possibility. The other possibility is, एक तो हमने देखा कि y-intercept given है आपको. हमने देखा कि आपको एक पॉइंट गिवन हो और एक आपको y-intercept गिवन हो उसका. एक हमने देखा कि आपके पास एक पॉइंट गिवन हो और आपको ग्रेडियंट गिवन हो. ठीक है, ये भी हो सकता है. एक पॉसिबिलिटी और भी हो सकती है, और वो ये कि आपको 2 पॉइंट्स गिवन हो, right? So let's say you've got 2 points, A that is 1 and 4, and you've got another point, let's say that is B, and that's minus 3 and 7. So you got these 2 points. आपको क्या करना है? आपको equation of AB find करनी है. Equation of AB. Okay, how do you find that? Now let's think about this. So आपको क्या चाहिए होता है? दो चीजें चाहिए होती हैं. Whichever form you use, आपको gradient तो चाहिए होता है. आप y equals mx plus c से ज्यादा comfortable हो, that's okay. आपको gradient तो हमेशा चाहिए होता है. That's the first thing you find out. Gradient कैसे find करें? Okay, so we got this x1 here, got this y1, this is x2, this is y2. Okay, gradient formula क्या होता है? Gradient formula के अंदर we've got y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. इसके अंदर वैल्यूज इनपुट कर दें. y2 क्या है? -7 है. y1 is 4 divided by -3 minus 1, and you get some result from here that is going to be -3 over 4. Is that -3 over 4? -3 over 4. Okay, so that is the gradient. Gradient आपके पास आ जाता है -3 over 4 यहाँ पे. ठीक है, gradient आ गया. तो आप कोई भी फॉर्म यूज कर लो. इफ यू वांट दैट, वो थोड़ी सी आसान हो जाएगी. लेट मी डू इट दैट वे फर्स्ट. Those of you who don't know about that, y equals so y minus y1 equals m into x minus x1. So all you have to do is gradient आपके पास आ गया, that is -3 over 4. ठीक है, अब आपको क्या करना है? इनमें से कोई भी एक पॉइंट उठा लो. इनमें से कोई भी एक पॉइंट, डजंट मैटर व्हिच वन. अब ये पहला वाला पॉइंट ले लो, दूसरा वाला पॉइंट ले लो, x1 और y1 की जगह पॉइंट पुट कर दो. फॉर एग्जांपल अगर मैं पहला पॉइंट लेता हूं यहाँ पे, y1 क्या आएगा? 4. मैं a ले रहा हूं. y1 is 4 and x1 is 1. That gives me my equation, right? इसको सिंप्लीफाई करना है and that's it. So I get y minus 4 equal to -3 over 4 times x plus 3 over 4, and then it becomes y equals -3 over 4 x plus 3 over 4 plus 4. You take the LCM there and you get y equals -3 over x plus, ये आपके पास आ जाएगा 19 over 4, and that is the equation of this line. ठीक है, इसी को हम दूसरे मेथड से करते हैं. तो ग्रेडियंट हमने उसमें भी फाइंड करना था, उसमें भी, और हमारे पास क्या होता? y equals mx plus c. ग्रेडियंट हमने फिगर आउट कर लिया. So that is -3 over 4 x plus c. Again, आपको c की वैल्यू फिगर आउट करनी है. You put any of those two points here in this equation. कोई भी पॉइंट इनपुट कर दो. So let's say 1 और 4 इनपुट कर दें. ठीक है, 1 और 4 इनपुट कर दिया. Now y is 4 and x is 1. तो आपने इसके अंदर इनपुट किया plus c. You will get the value of c from there. c की वैल्यू यहाँ से आपके पास आ जाएगी 4 plus 3 over 4, that is 19 over 4. अब वापस इसमें इनपुट कर दो y equals mx plus c के अंदर, and you get y equal to -3 over 4x plus 19 over 4. So you can use any of the two methods that you prefer, and you get the equation of the line. Is this clear to everyone? Any issues with this? Any issues with this? Any problems? Okay, good. Any problems with this? Any questions, anyone? All right, let's do one more thing. What if you have this equation given? Let's say you've got y equals -3x plus 7. And you're asked to find equation of a line that passes through -1 and 3 and is parallel to, let's say, L. इस लाइन को हम L नाम दे देते हैं. This is the line L. Okay. So we want to find the equation of a line that passes through -1 and 3 and is parallel to the line L. How do we do this? Walaikum assalam, Murtaza. I hope you're well. So let's try to figure out this equation. What do we do here? Remember, parallel lines आपके पास दो पैरेलल लाइंस है, अगर एक का ग्रेडियंट m1 है और दूसरे ग्रेडियंट m2 है, इनके जो ग्रेडियंट्स होते हैं वो इक्वल होते हैं। इनके ग्रेडियंट्स क्या होते हैं? इक्वल होते हैं। m1 इक्वल्स m2, दोनों ग्रेडियंट्स इक्वल होते हैं। अच्छा, मैं यहाँ पे मैं थोड़ा सा इसको और भी चेंज करता हूँ, just to try to make it a bit more complicated. Let's say this is 2y here. Let's say you got this equation. 2y equals minus 3x plus 7. This is the equation that you have. 2y equals minus 3x plus 7. You've got this equation. Okay? You want to find the equation of a line that passes through minus 1 and 3 and is parallel to this line. How do you figure this out? अब देखिए, दो चीजें चाहिए होती है हमें किसी भी इक्वेशन, किसी भी लाइन की इक्वेशन फिगर आउट करने के लिए। एक तो हमें ग्रेडियंट चाहिए होता है और हमें एक पॉइंट चाहिए होता है ताकि हम c की वैल्यू फिगर आउट कर लें। हाउ डू यू फाइंड द ग्रेडियंट ऑफ दिस लाइन? ग्रेडियंट कैसे फाइंड करें इस लाइन का? यहाँ पे अब देखिए, पहली लाइन के पैरेलल है ना, इस लाइन के पैरेलल है, तो हम क्या करेंगे, उस लाइन का ग्रेडियंट फिगर आउट कर लेंगे। पहले वाली लाइन है, उस लाइन का ग्रेडियंट फिगर आउट करेंगे। वो कैसे करेंगे? उसे करने का ये तरीका होगा। देखिए वो क्या है, 2y equals minus 3x plus 7। ये इक्वेशन है ना उस लाइन की, इसको हम कन्वर्ट करेंगे इस फॉर्म के अंदर y equals mx plus c फॉर्म के अंदर। कैसे? y को सब्जेक्ट बना लें। What do you get? We get y equals minus 3 over 2x plus 7 over 2। ठीक है, उस फॉर्म में कन्वर्ट हो गया। Now we compare this with y equals mx plus c। Now let's compare these two। ग्रेडियंट क्या है आपके पास? x के साथ यहाँ पे m है, इधर x के साथ क्या लगा हुआ है? minus 3 over 2। So the gradient therefore, the gradient here is going to be equal to minus 3 over 2 or you can say minus 1.5। ये जो ऊपर उसने लाइन दी हुई है उसका ग्रेडियंट क्या है? minus 3 over 2। अगर उसका ग्रेडियंट minus 3 over 2 है, तो दूसरी लाइन उसके पैरेलल है, इसका मतलब ये हुआ ये जो दूसरी लाइन हमारे पास है इसका ग्रेडियंट भी क्या होगा? इसका ग्रेडियंट भी minus 3 over 2 होगा। So we say this is y equals minus 3 over 2x plus c। ठीक है, अब हम क्या करेंगे? अब हमें पता है कि ये दूसरी लाइन जो है ना, ये -1 और 3 से पास करती है। We put that point here, -1 and 3, and we use that to find the value of c. What do we get? We get y equals 3 equals minus 3 over 2 into -1 plus c। यहाँ से आपके पास c की वैल्यू आ जाएगी। c की वैल्यू क्या आती है? c की वैल्यू आ जाएगी 3 over 2। अब इसको सिंप्लीफाई करें, आपके पास c की वैल्यू आ जाएगी, that's 3 over 2। c आ गया। Now you had the gradient, you also found the y-intercept, so you know that the equation of the line therefore is going to be y equals mx plus c, which is y equals minus 3 over 2x plus 3 over 2. That is the equation of this line that you were looking for. Okay, does this make sense? Yes, Rafi, that's very good. So that is the equation of this line. Is this clear? So parallel lines have equal gradient. So that was the main thing that you need to understand here. अगर आपके पास एक लाइन है जिसके पैरेलल एक और लाइन है, उन दोनों के ग्रेडियंट्स जो हैं वो इक्वल होंगे। ओके, तो आप एक का ग्रेडियंट किस तरह, इक्वेशन से ग्रेडियंट किस तरह फिगर आउट करते हो? आप पहले इस फॉर्म में कन्वर्ट करते हो, y equals mx plus c फॉर्म में कन्वर्ट करते हो, like we did here। जब वो कन्वर्ट कर लिया, we compare with y equals mx plus c और हम देखते हैं हमारे पास ये m की वैल्यू क्या आ रही है। m की वैल्यू -3 over 2 आ गई। अब हम उसको यूज करके दूसरी लाइन की इक्वेशन फिगर आउट कर लेते हैं। ओके, is this clear to everyone? Is this clear to everyone? So the key point here was parallel lines have equal gradient. Parallel lines have equal gradient. Okay, acha, let's think about another thing now, and that is that's the last thing that we're going to do for today, and that's perpendicular lines. That's something that confuses a lot of people. So let's do that quickly. What happens in perpendicular lines? अच्छा, now perpendicular line से क्या मतलब है? If you have one line like this, right? अगर आपके पास एक line इस तरह की है, it looks let's say something like this. तो दूसरी line is perpendicular to that. इनके बीच में जो angle बनता है that is 90 degrees. This angle is 90 degrees. So let's say this is line 1 and this is line 2. You've got two lines here. अब अगर एक line का gradient जो है that is represented by, let's say, that is represented by m1. एक लाइन के ग्रेडियंट उनमें से एक किसी भी एक लाइन का ग्रेडियंट अगर m1 से रिप्रेजेंट कर लेते हैं और दूसरी लाइन का ग्रेडियंट हम रिप्रेजेंट कर लेते हैं m2 के साथ, तो there's a relationship between these two gradients and that is like this. m1 is equal to minus 1 over m2, right? m1 is equal to minus 1 over m2, or you can say m2 is equal to minus 1 over m1. They're both the same things. एक ही बात है. How are you going to apply this practically? You need to remember one thing, and that is gradients of perpendicular lines. Gradients of perpendicular lines are negative reciprocals of each other. Gradients of perpendicular lines are negative reciprocals of each other. Now let me explain what that means. So let's say आपके पास एक line है, or let me actually put another page. You've got L1, that's one line. This is perpendicular to another line. ये perpendicular sign है, like this, or inverted P. L1 is perpendicular to L2. Let's say आपको M1 का gradient पता है. M1 का gradient जो है ना, gradient of L1 या एक line का gradient पता है, एक line का, उसको use करना है आपने gradient of L2 figure out करने के लिए. So let's say gradient of L1 जो है ना, that is 2. What about the gradient of the other line? Any ideas? अभी हमने क्या कहा? The other line is going to have a gradient that is negative reciprocal of the first line. Negative reciprocal of the first line. तो अगर एक लाइन का 2 है, तो दूसरी लाइन का क्या होएगा? Negative reciprocal 2 का क्या होता है? देखिए दो चीजें करनी है. एक तो उसका साइन चेंज करना है. अगर पहले पॉजिटिव है, अब उसको नेगेटिव कर दोगे. दो चीजें, remember? So let me go back there. There are two things there. One is that it's negative. नेगेटिव का मतलब है कि जो भी साइन पहले था उसको आपने उल्टा कर देना है. अगर पॉजिटिव था तो माइनस से मल्टीप्लाई करके माइनस हो जाएगा. अगर वो पहले माइनस था तो माइनस से मल्टीप्लाई करके प्लस हो जाएगा. सो नेगेटिव का मतलब है साइन चेंज करना है. रेसिप्रोकल उसकी आपने उसको इन्वर्ट कर देना. न्यूमरेटर को डिनोमिनेटर कर देना, डिनोमिनेटर को न्यूमरेटर कर देना. सो 2 था यहाँ पे, 2 becomes, अब क्योंकि वो पॉजिटिव की वैल्यू उसको नेगेटिव कर दिया. Exactly, Zanera, that's correct. So this was positive here, it becomes negative, and this was 2 here. 2 goes to the denominator, that becomes 1 over 2. That's minus 1 over 2, right? So पहले प्लस था, वो माइनस हो गया, और आपका 1 over 2 हो गया. Exactly. Similarly, if you had, let's say, something like this, minus 3 over 4. Line L1 का gradient आपके पास होता minus 3 over 4. What about the gradient of L2 of the other line that is perpendicular? Yes, exactly. So we change the sign. Minus था पहले, ये plus हो जाएगा, और आपने इसका reciprocal कर देना. Numerator denominator बन जाएगा, denominator numerator बन जाएगा, numerator denominator बन जाएगा. That's going to be plus 4 over 3. Exactly. That's correct. Rafi and Manahil, very good. So that's what you get here. Okay. Similarly, आपके पास अगर यहाँ पे होता minus 1 over 5, एक लाइन का ग्रेडियंट, दूसरी का क्या होता? That would be 5. अब देखिए उल्टा भी उसी तरह से हो रहा है. Exactly, very good. So उल्टा भी ऐसे हो रहा है. आप यहाँ से देखिए, अगर minus 1 over 2 आपको ये पता होता, इसका नेगेटिव रेसिप्रोकल करें, you get 2 there. तो उल्टा भी उसी तरह से कोई नेगेटिव रेसिप्रोकल ही चल रहा है. 4 over 3 होता, उससे आपको minus 3 over 4 मिलता. अगर कुछ 5 होता, उससे आपको minus 1 over 5 मिलता. तो अगर आपको पता है दो लाइंस परपेंडिकुलर हैं, तो एक का ग्रेडियंट जो होगा वो दूसरे के ग्रेडियंट के नेगेटिव रेसिप्रोकल होगा। ठीक है, एक का जो ग्रेडियंट होगा वो दूसरे के ग्रेडियंट के का नेगेटिव रेसिप्रोकल होगा। नाउ लेट्स जस्ट finish with one example on this very quickly. Just find out I can quickly have a look at question on this. Okay, so let's say you got these things. So let's say you've got a couple of points. You've got a point A that is has coordinates. So where'd that go? A has coordinates 9 and 8. You've got another point. Let's call that point B. And B has coordinates 12 and 4. B has coordinates 12 and 4. These are the 2 points that we have. Okay. Now, let's say we are given AB. AB is perpendicular to BC. अब ये C पॉइंट नहीं हमें पता, C कोई पॉइंट होगा कहीं पे, लेकिन उसने अब से ये बता दिया कि AB is perpendicular to BC. We need to find the equation of BC. Equation of BC figure out करनी है. How do we do that? अब BC पे तो हमें एक पॉइंट तो पता है, ठीक है, BC में ये B वाला पॉइंट ये BC में आ रहा होगा. What about the gradient of BC? Exactly. So how do we start with this? क्योंकि हमें पता है कि ये perpendicular है, AB is perpendicular to BC. What we do is we find the gradient of AB. So let's start with that. Let's find the gradient of AB. So gradient of AB. So let's just mark the points here. This is x1, y1. This is x2, y2. What do we do? y2 minus y1. So that's 4 minus 8. Divided by x2 minus x1, that's 12 minus 9. And that turns out to be, Rafe, I think you've done it the other way around. Achha, BC gradient. That's very good. Yeah, so aapne directly BC ka bataya. That's very good. So gradient of AB is going to be minus 4 over 3, right? Gradient of AB is going to be minus 4 over 3. Okay. क्योंकि AB और BC perpendicular है, तो हमें पता चल गया कि जो BC का gradient होगा, BC का gradient जो होगा, that is negative reciprocal of this. अब minus 4 over 3 का negative reciprocal क्या आएगा? That is 3 over 4. That is 3 over 4. ठीक है? Yes, exactly, Manahil. That's exactly the process that we have to follow. So we found the gradient of AB. We found the gradient of BC using that by taking negative reciprocal. That's 3 over 4. And now we have a point. The point is 12 and 4. B point जो है वो BC के ऊपर भी lie करता है. We also have the gradient. The gradient is 3 over 4. You can use these things to find the equation. So y equals mx plus c. ठीक है? Y equals mx plus c. So we just input some those values here. Y की जगह 4 input कर दें. Y की जगह, so let me just write down here. So put 12 and 4, put that point, and m equal to 3 over 4. इसके अंदर डाल दें, आपको c की वैल्यू मिल जाएगी. So that's 4 equal to 3 over 4 into 12 plus c. ठीक है? This gets cancelled. You get 3 here. That's 9. C की वैल्यू आपके पास आ जाती है -5. Right? So now therefore y equals mx plus c. The gradient was 3 over 4 into x plus c. C की वैल्यू क्या है? -5. So you've got -5 here, and that is the equation of the line BC that we were looking for. Okay, 3 over 4x minus 5, exactly. So that's what we get. Very good. Okay, so this was an overview of the different concepts that you need to know of in coordinate geometry. Now, of course, to retain these concepts, you need to make sure that you do practice questions from whatever topicals that you have. So I would recommend the way to, so that's generally, everybody does. You prepare a topic, you have a good conceptual understanding of that, and then you do a lot of topical past papers on that, topical worksheets, whatever you have, you use them. If you don't have any right now, what you can do is you can use, some well-known publisher. You can use Read and Write publications. You can use MS Books. They have good topicals. I would recommend not using solved topicals. Use unsolved topicals. Use करें. Do questions topic wise. जो आपके कोई ऐसे topics हैं जो आपको दोबारा से review करने हैं. Once you're done with them, the last month you should try कि आप उसको पूरे past papers, yearly past papers की practice करें. So that's how I would recommend you to go about it. We're going to have classes every Monday. Today we did coordinate geometry, and we're going to do some of those other topics that I mentioned. Let me just remind you about those. We have trigonometry coming, mensuration, vectors, transformation, and kinematics, statistics, probably probability. So these are all the topics that we're going to be covering on Mondays, inshallah, until the exams. On the other days, we have basically a past paper session going on in the other group, and we have 4 classes a week in that group. What we will be doing is, as soon as Cambridge makes the final announcement about the exams, format kya hoga? Are we going to have P1? Are we going to have some curtailed version of P1? We're not sure about it as of yet. Abhi dekhte hain kya announcement hoti hai. Once we have that announcement, we will be starting that past paper session that will be running 4 days a week. And Tuesday and Thursday are confirmed, and there'll be 2 other days as well. So 4 days a week. So the timing will be announced in the group as well. So that's what the plan is for the next 1.5 months or so. We'll try to do as much practice as we can. We'll try to cover the important topics in this group. और फिर दूसरे group के अंदर हम past papers practice कर रहे होंगे inshallah. Okay, thank you very much for joining, everyone. I hope this class was helpful. If you have any questions, any general questions, anything about this particular topic or any particular topic in general, that any quick questions, you are free to ask. So I'll be here for a few more minutes to answer any general queries you might have. But in terms of the work that we have to do today, we're going to stop at this point. And inshallah, next topic se continue karenge. It's most likely going to be trigonometry next week. Next week, I'm trigonometry discuss karenge. I will start with the basics, then we'll also do the 3D trigonometry, bearings, that stuff. Okay, so that's what I'm planning for the next week. And the next in line would be mensuration, vectors, transformations. Okay, so any questions, anyone? Any questions, anyone? Any problems? No? Okay, good. You're all welcome. I'll see you again, inshallah, next week on Monday. The past paper session will also be starting next week. I will hopefully see you there as well. Thank you very much for joining. Wish you all the best for your exams. Get serious and start studying. It's a very good opportunity for you guys to get done with the O levels with minimal effort. So कोशिश करें कि अच्छा prepare करें, and do well on these exams and start with your A levels right away. So thank you for joining. You're all welcome. I'll see you all again in the next session, inshallah. Allah Hafiz and take care.